Dutch, and I'm here in the shop. So although you're going to be seeing this in the future, this is the one day before we launch the Quilted Chameleon, so it is all that's on my mind. And you can see here, we are marking out the baffles. We're trying to get a little bit ahead on stock. There is great anticipation for what comes after this. We've been working on this I've been working on it for many years, but the shop itself has been working on it for months for sure. And we had a good meeting today on who's doing what. We think that we can make 3 to 5 a day. So we are just a small manufacturer. We already got a lot of things. If you ever see my website, there is a ton of products there. So this is in addition to. And there's a little bit of trepidation there, but I have confidence that we are going to get it done. Everybody knows their places. We're going to take it one step at a time. We know we're going to get behind, and that is why we limited our release to only head right. We limited our release to only 3 colors. We're not going to do custom work on it, but that will all come down the road, and a lot more will come down the road. We're going to be making quilted everything. I'm going to make a quilted banyan bridge hammock. I really want to make I am going to make an ultralight quilted hammock that I am going to use next year on the Appalachian Trail. I am super excited for that. Take a look at how gorgeous this is. So it puts the down right where the person is. You're not putting down, which is expensive, which is a large part of the weight where you don't need it. And we really concentrated it to where you do need it. So although we're giving these things a temperature range of 0, 20, and 40, we are very confident that people will well be able to exceed that. And we're doing that for the people that get coldest the easiest. But we are looking at, it's gonna be a little bit more than 24 hours. We're gonna do a live stream. We're gonna give away serial number 1, which here we are the day before, and this is gonna be the quilt shell of serial number 1. And on that, turn it so you can read it, we printed on the temperature rating, the fill power, and serial number 1. So that is throughout on here a couple times. It's very subtle. It's not going to be gaudy, but I want the person that wins this, the number 1 hammock, to be able to go and show that off. Say, hey, come here, look at this. Yeah, I had the very first one. And hopefully a year from now, we're on, well, we can only do about 1,000 to 1,500 a year. So I don't know where we'll be a year from now, but I do know where we're at today. And today we're making number 1. So each hammock is going to get a tag, and each tag is going to have handwritten in what's the fill power, what's the temperature rating, and what's the serial number. I hope that builds for the excitement when somebody gets it, they post it, and they're excited as we are about this, and they go and they post it, and other people are like, oh boy, I know I'm soon in line. We are giving off I think it's $20 off on the early birds. That was really meant as a present, because honestly, we're not going to have any trouble selling the early birds for sure. We are going to get overwhelmed. We know we are. We try to be lightning fast, but in our manufacturing and our shipping, we're not going to be able to do that here. And well, I'm not thrilled with the fact that we're going to have some orders that are going to be a week, 2 week old, that there's going to be a delay in some orders. It's the way it's going to be, because we proudly manufacture this right here. It is made with love in the USA, and we are very proud of that. We know we could have taken this design and gone over to Asia and had it made by someone who makes a quarter what I have to pay for labor. We're not that way, and we're not going to be that way, and we're going to make it right here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm giving you guys kind of a glimpse of some of the shop around here. I hope to do a plant tour someday, because this place is a neat place. But anyhow, back on Made in the USA. That means a lot to us. Actually, let's go back, and you're gonna see back here in the tool and die shop. So there's no shortage of patriotic pride for here, and we are proud to be making textiles here in America. Honestly, it couldn't be any other way. I mean, how could you go and have somebody else make your products for you and pretend that you're the one making it? These aren't assembled here. These aren't closed here. These are made in America. It is designed in America. We do have to import some of the components and some of the fabrics, but we do as little of that as possible. And we make things right here in Lancaster. We're on one of the main drags. Actually, and we have to deal with all that entails with hiring people, but that's what it's really about. This isn't a business. I'm here making this with my friends and my family, and we are producing a product that we go out and we see our friends using, and we love that. Right now, if you take a look, the city required us to put in wider sidewalks. This is the kind of things you got to deal with being an American manufacturer. And well, I deal it, but so they're gonna rip all this up. We're gonna have to get trucks in and out of here. But you can see, for some reason, the city wants us to have an 8-foot wide sidewalk, and well, that's okay. We'll put in an 8-foot wide sidewalk. It is a gorgeous day today. I'll show you another one of our secret weapons. Lancaster City, I have lived here in Lancaster County all of my life, and I really like it here. I really identify myself as here. This is why I call myself Dutch. It's because I'm PA Dutch. It is a working class neighborhood. I know my neighbors, and a lot of the neighbors do work for us. They do splicing for us and things like that. But they painted their garage to match our building, just to give it kind of continuity. The people tend to take care of their yards around here, and they say hi to you. And I really wouldn't want to live anyplace else. Show you our secret weapon. Bear with me a moment. So one of the things we needed was a down room, and that's what this is. So we have a down stuffing machine. This is made so we can weigh each baffle to have the exact amount of down. It is so neat. I mean, when you put your hand in here, it's like almost no resistance. We really wanted to keep the down out of the shop. We had put this in about 3 or 4 years ago. And with the anticipation of this, and it's taken quite a long time to make the product that we're going to put in here. But we have a sewing machine in here, and we're going to close up the insulated quilts in here. You know, one of the things about having a product made overseas, and very often you'll see them list that the quality assurance is done in America. And when I hear that, if you are truly an American manufacturer, or a manufacturer, I should say, you know that the end of the line is not when you want to be putting or checking quality into your part. Particularly, you don't want to check the quality when it has shipped across the ocean. The point that you want to be putting the quality in is every step that it's made. That every product is made in many steps. I think the Quilted Chameleon comes in at 15 or 16 steps. That's how many people's hands it has to pass through. And step 2 is checking the quality on step 1. Step 3 is checking step 2, and so on. And that is how you do it, and that's being the efficient way. Otherwise, when you have a not so good quality at the end of the line, you got to make a decision at that point. Whether or not, is this something that I'm going to use? Is it good enough? Well, when your investment is, I've already shipped this thing and manufactured it, that decision gets skewed a little bit. But when you're on step 1, you're not committed to a whole lot, especially if it's one product. We practice something called one-piece flow here at Dutchware, and what that means is we're not making batches of 100. We make a batch of today's orders. Each one of these Quilted Chameleons are going to be made specifically for you. It's going to go, you're going to place the order, and we're going to start going and cutting the fabric and marking the baffles. We're going to be able to do it's only 3 to 5 a day. 5 if I can hire another person. If there's a mistake in that step 1, my commitment is 3 to 5 hammock bodies or quilt shells or something of that nature. And I can say, no, cut it again and make it right. We have very little invested in this. If that batch is 100 and the product is completely made, then that's not an easy decision. I got people that got orders that I need to fill, and it's going to be another month until I get another shipment, and people are going to have to wait. Maybe this is good enough, and you just ship it. So if you really want to put the quality into a product, you want to go and you want to be monitoring and taking care of that every step of the way. And that's what we do in small batches. We increase our efficiency. I'm looking at our costs versus other insulated hammocks out there, and we're making them here in America, and we're making them cheaper. And I'm damn proud of that. So that can only be done through efficiency, because I'm not using $1 to $5 an hour labor. Trust me, those days were never here. As a matter of fact, I have to pay more in taxes of an employee, on workman's comp of an employee, in benefits for an employee, than they pay per hour of labor. That is insane to think. And really, the amount that you pay the employee is a drop in the bucket, what the real costs are. But all my employees, they're not living in Asia. And I do the grocery shopping just like they do the grocery shopping. So I know darn well what has happened over the past couple years, particularly in food prices. I was just looking at something that was used to buy for $1, and that is pizza dough. And I used to really love this pizza dough. I just make bread out of it. It used to be $1, and I'm like, well, crap, $1 to have a pizza dough or a loaf of bread, that's a really solid deal. I'd rather do that than actually make up the bread with the flour and the oil and the yeast and do all that labor to it. But I just went there today, and here it was $2. So 100% increase in just a couple years. That is insane to me. But my point being is, I know of the costs that my employees incur, what they need to be gainfully employed. So we have to pay a living wage here, and we insist on doing that. And the only way to make up for that is to be more efficient, to work very hard. We are a DIY company, and when you see my videos, they are done by DIY. We do some editing here on staff. Nothing is farmed out. We're doing all of our marketing is done here in-house. And we manufacture everything in-house. We manufacture our metal hardware right here. And I'm really proud of where we've come to with our titanium hardware. When you look at it, compared to what I used to make, it used to have edges that, well, they weren't nearly as polished. And now my Dutch clips, they have a mirror finish. They will last longer than me. That is really something special. And I don't know how anybody can be so proud of something that they ordered off of Alibaba, or they contracted out and had somebody else make. Because you didn't make that. Sorry, I gotta latch the gate here. It's not high security, we don't lock it, but we do close the gate around here. It is like 88 degrees today. Kind of glad to be outside. Although I think we're running the AC inside. So, these guys ever see our roll slitter? This thing is what we use to make the baffle material. It was quite an investment, but look at how it has this big saw blade. It comes down, roll of fabric sits on here, the rolls are turning, the blade is turning. The blade is super, super sharp, and you can see here how we can cut up rolls. We use that to cut up, well, when you see our bonded fabric, we had to slit the end of it because we need a totally straight edge on there. And then we have to slit the adhesive so that that has a perfectly straight edge. Here's another company that I'm really proud to deal with, because they, actually, I've been dealing with them for as long as Dutchware has been around, and that is JRB. And I want to give a big shout out to JRB, because they could be having these things made overseas, and they don't. They have it made right here. I am on the cusp of releasing the Quilted Hammock, and tomorrow is going to be a big day for us. We're going to have a celebration. I'm cooking breakfast burritos for the whole staff, and we're going to have one more meeting so everybody knows their places. I hope it's a monumental day for us, but also I think we're still improving the way hammocks are. And I remember many years ago someone saying, I think that the hammocks have, all the innovation is done. We've done everything that we can on it. And I laughed and I said, I am just getting started. So hang on, because we are far from done. I'm going to show you a couple really neat things. Actually, I mentioned about our bling. This is where all of our bling is kept. Man, I hope these guys can feel the pride that I have. This is the first product that I wound up making now. It looked a lot different than this. It used to be made out of aluminum. This is titanium. Look at the way that shines, and the way we specifically mill around the edges to round all the edges. And they are super light, they are super strong, and they don't corrode. And like I said, they're gonna be around forever. And they also fall down because I'm a little clumsy. Here's one of the ones that I really love, is the Wasp. See if I can get this, make sure that it's focused on, but it is bringing style in with function, and it's one of the prettier pieces that I make. It's kind of funny to make all my stuff out of bugs and then call them pretty. And I'm going to show you another thing. This is one of my secret systems, and that is a Kanban system that I have put in place for the chameleons. It is really, really simple, but it makes us extremely efficient, and it makes it so that we do not run out of product. If it is a blue chip, that means it is a Hexon 1.0. Then if it has a blue insert into it, blue's not a really good example for this. Let's do another one. If it is a red chip, it is a Hexon 1.6. And we know this when we look on the board. If it has the camo in it, we know that it is camo. So if you look on here, there is 5 chips, and that means there's 5 hammocks in here. There's 2 blue, this is brilliant blue, 1.0s. So that code system may not mean that much to you, but when you take it upstairs and I put them on the board, I want you to imagine I walk up these stairs every day on my way to my office, and I look at this board. I don't have to print a report. I don't have to download anything. I don't even have to turn on my computer. I can see right where we are at in my production. So these are the ones that are out of stock. However many hooks are how many we keep. Moroccan blue, popular color, we keep 5. We've sold 2. They're turned upside down. As you see, they're normally like this, but when they're turned upside down, it means they're in production. And sometimes we only keep 2. Black would be a hammock that we do not sell that many of. So we only keep 2 hooks and 2 hammocks in stock. This is, of course, the hammock bodies. So everything is skewed to the right, but we put them on the left, so that if I ever see one on a right hook, that means that there is an empty bin downstairs, and that is an emergency situation that we have to make sure that that is the highest priority that we make, because we don't want any empty bins. If we have an empty bin, that means that the shippers can't ship an order, and then that puts that order on hold, and that makes the customer delayed. So we go and we manufacture it, and after we're done manufacturing, it goes down with the chips, and everything starts over again. And that is called the Kanban system, and it is something that I put in place years ago. Before that, we were just like, all right, make 10. Dark olive would always be sold out because that is a very popular color. But you could always see the reds and the blacks and the things that people didn't order that much. So when we would come upon one and it wouldn't be in stock, we would have to go and fill out a little form, and that would come up here, and then they would make them. But then it would take It takes hours, because then they're like, oh, well, you better make 20 of them. So we would have to make 20 of them. If there'd be some type of a problem with them, well, then we got 20 of them that are having a problem and may have to be reworked, or worse yet, scrapped. Here, I manufacture just a few at a time, and you can see the most that I keep of any color is going to be 5. We're pretty good and caught up right now. Even we have everything in production, I see, except for 2. We got 1 black one and 1 dark olive one, and then everything's color coded. Blue is 1.0, 1.6 is red, black is the 1.6 wide, and then we got 1.2 that, well, we're totally caught up on that. We use that system throughout the place in many ways, but it also is part of our manufacturing system. And actually it goes into the design of the product. One of the reasons why the Chameleon is a modular system is because I didn't want to make blue hammocks with red tops. And then here comes another order, and it is a gray hammock with a blue top. I want to make blue hammocks, I want to make red tops, and at shipping, they go together. That makes it so that we can get our shipping lightning fast. Not that we don't get backed up, not that people don't call in sick, and not that mistakes don't happen, because mistakes happen all the time. But when those mistakes happen, it is not on a batch of 100, it is on a batch of 1 or 2, or at the most 5. And that is a huge deal, and that is much easier to deal with than a problem with an entire lot. So bring it back out to our, everybody's gone. This is my favorite time. You see that we leave a lot of work piled on the machines. I'm a little embarrassed by that, but that's because there's a lot of stuff going on. So back on the Quilted Chameleon, here's why I'm so excited by this, is we've run the numbers, and this is way cheaper than having to buy a hammock and a quilt. I know that it has a cost. We're talking premium materials. We're talking American labor. Well, down is expensive. The companies that are making a quilt and a hammock, or even an insulated hammock, are doing the exact same thing. They are having to pay for that labor in some way, and they're having to pay for those materials. This uses less, and that is what it uses less in is there's a whole nother layer that this doesn't use. Whether it is a quilt that goes on there, you're removing an entire layer of the quilt plus the suspension, or if it's an insulated hammock, they make them with 2 layers. We have made it so that this is a single layer with an outer shell, and the down is tied up against you. You can't get the down any closer to you, and you cannot have less air gaps than what this has. Well, dang it, I'm darn proud of it. So I've been using these things pretty much all winter now. A little bit before, but we really, we made some stuff for trail days, or not for trail days. We made some stuff for HangCon. Well, I've been using that same hammock, and I've been using it in a really wide range. I just used it this weekend, and it was 80 degrees out in the daytime, and I was totally fine in the same hammock that I've been using in February. And I really want to look at these as more of a range, rather than this is a 20-degree hammock. This is really a 70 to a 20-degree hammock, because what you vent is the top. If you have a bug net, you get a bug net so you can get airflow, and you use a lighter top quilt, because really your heat rises, it does not really go down. And as long as you're keeping the cold from coming up through the bottom, the top's gonna be just fine. And I have been in my 20-degree hammock when it's been 70 degrees when I've gone to sleep. I just go without a quilt, I wait for it to cool down, and then I cover up, and that is totally comfortable. I'm sure there's a limit, no matter what, and if I don't have a quilt, I'm gonna be hot at 85 degrees, I'm gonna be hot at 90 degrees, and this is certainly gonna limit the air from blowing through, but it's a huge range. And generally wherever I hike, I don't ever see nights above 70 degrees, and I do see nights below 32, so a 20-degree hammock is absolutely perfect for me. I could see going down to 0 and needing a 0 degree, or I need something that supplements this, but I'm gonna use my 20 degree in almost every hike that I do. But because of this modular system, if you really are one of those people that are like, I really need a 40 degree and I really need a 0 degree, you're gonna have to buy 2 quilts for that anyhow. So you might as well just buy 2 different chameleon bodies. It's just as modular. This really is a quilt with a chameleon zipper on it. And if you think about the zip-on underquilt, that is a quilt with a zipper on it. A place that I can hook up a suspension. I don't think very many people have more than 1 quilts. I know some people have lots of quilts, but most people are making a big investment when they buy that one. So I think if you can hit a wide range with what you have, you are gonna be golden. And I think that's what we've done here. So I know this is gonna be viewed after the fact, but we are super proud of it. And I hope the people that are receiving them are also super proud of it. Thank you, everybody.